Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2020 the American Express preview. We're going to dive into the course. We're going to dive into the field. I'm also going to spend a few minutes going over the Sony Open. I believe there's some information and nuggets that we can extract from that, learn from, hopefully apply going forward. So let's do that first. I'm going to pull up. This is looking at all the stroke gain analysis and finishings, and I kind of mentioned in my last one, this is how I want to kind of review what happened, what transpired, because I think it tells us a little more information of some of these guys that are going to be playing in the American Express, what we can hopefully expect, even though that doesn't always come to fruition, hence Kevin Na. We'll talk about that. But yeah, let's do a little analysis here. And then we'll get into the American Express, so just bear with me, give me a few minutes. The first thing is, why I was not on Kevin Na. So here's the kicker. I picked him as a sleeper in the Tournament of Champions due to what he was doing and his showing at the Masters and seeing some, signs of life. I thought for his price at 6,700 could be a good play there. But then he goes out and, shoots 6 over on Saturday where the weather is perfect. He loses 4.5 strokes off the tee, not good on approach, terrible around the green, and loses almost 7 strokes putting on Bermuda greens that didn't have a lot of undulation. Easier course. Yes, it was a little longer, but still, to navigate around there, even if you are missing it, little right, little left, you're not going to get penalized. But as in typical Kevin Na experience and history, then he goes out at the Sony Open. It's costing us 7,500. So it would have been a great play, 2x'd his value in points, and then goes out and just boat races the course and, shoots a 61 on Saturday. He improves on all stroke gain categories, 180 degrees, of course, on the around the green, and then, of course, improves putting significantly. So in typical Kevin Na fashion, this is what he does. And also, if you look at like his putting performances and look at his past history, where he's excelled is on bent greens. And so if you look at the Shriners or the Greenbrier that he's won both of those, or even at the Masters, bent grass is where he usually makes his hay. Now, if you look at his splits on Bermuda grass, he also is actually, it shows up in past history as his best surface, but just bent grass is slight below. But if you really look at his wins and where he's done damage, it's been on bent grass. So I'm not going to spend any more time on Kevin Na. Congrats to him. It's just why I was not on him for this tournament. And I don't even know what his ownership was, but I can't, guess that too many people were. Then let's talk about Chris Kirk. Now, Chris Kirk's a little different situation. Of course, he had the, if you were watching any of it, the medical exemption ran out at this tournament, needed to get a T3 or better to get, I'm not sure if it's exempt status or some status on the PGA moving forward. He was battling, of course, alcoholism. He was battling depression. So I followed Chris Kirk. I've always kept an eye on him. But I was trying to figure out why I was not on him for a sleeper for 7K, and his ownership was pretty low. And, so if we go back and we just do some quick analysis of Chris Kirk. So from a putting perspective, I was looking at guys that, were really good putters on Bermuda. And even though it was a positive surface, so that didn't show up. The windy, there at that time we were thinking like Thursday, Sunday might be the windy conditions, but nothing. So that wouldn't have put me off him. But what I was shocked when I started just kind of dive, into the details. And of course, I'm looking through 150 guys. He's done well over the last, 20 tournaments from a stroke gain analysis. And then as you see, it was 4 courses that I was looking at. So recent history, of course, they already the Sony in here, but OHL, RSM, RSM was a comp course. And if we look at it, he's had some really nice finishes at the RSM. And actually, won it in 2013, had a 4th in 2017. If you look at the RBC, I don't think it was great. He had a couple miscuts recently. So that might have put me off him a little bit. If you look at the Honda, which, again, course fit from a perspective of par 70 Bermuda, but it's definitely a tougher course and a tougher field. And out of his last 5 events there, he only had, made the cut once. So maybe that was a little bit of it. But the Wyndham, he made the cut every time and had 11th in 2018, which was the other comp course. So it was a little frustrating that I did not pick Chris Kirk as a sleeper. But good for him. He did some things very well, and but he wasn't on my radar. All right, just the last pieces we'll talk about at the Sony. The guys that you see in the peach color were my picks, top plays, and then the guys in the light blue were my fades. Neiman had a good tournament, T2. He had, of course, could have won at the Tournament of Centuries, lost in the playoff, the English. And, he over 1x, a little over 1x his cost. Patty Kazar was a good call, 7,700. He didn't 2x, but, 1x and a half his value. Simpson and Morikawa, they actually both came out pretty flat, and then both had a great Sunday is what really brought them back in. So I wasn't too worried about those guys that I was fading. Russ Henley was actually one that I was kind of shocked he'd do a little better. Again, over 1x value, so not a bad pick. And then Berger about, equaled his value. Charles Howell, not a bad pick at 8,000. Would have got you 94 points. Hideki here, again, he kind of just, for his cost, he was not, I guess he 1x his value, but, if he'd had a better Sunday, and I think a lot of people, especially from a showdown perspective, were kind of looking at him from some of the things that he was doing from tee to green, excellent, but the putter's still not there, losing almost 4 strokes. It was nice to see Cam Davis, for 7,200, over 1x his value, and he actually led the field off the tee in stroke gain, so something to note. English, I was fading, and that came, that actually worked out well. Only had about 80 points, and really off the first day when he shot even par, I was like, well, it was definitely a good fade. And that's just, the winner's hangover. But if you see like these guys here, Todd, Griffin, Griot, Sergio, M, I needed these guys all to be, these were supposed to be top 30, top 20s. They were all falling way above that. But Zach Johnson, I faded, had 11 bogeys. She actually shot 1 over. So that was a good fade call. And it wasn't that hard. When you're asking 8,500 for Zach Johnson, that's a no-go. And then Munoz, really just didn't do what Munoz does. Usually gets hot, and it was like round 2 was his worst. And then if you want to just look at who led in stroke gain, I already mentioned Cam Davis off the tee, but on approach, you had Morikawa, no shocker there. Around the green, I think it was Martin Trainer, way down here. And like I said, you'll hear me say this 1,000 times. If you are leading around the green stat, it means that you are doing probably really bad on approach, and you're, got to get up and down to even, make the cut. And that's what he did. Had a good Sunday. But I don't really take that stat into a highly consideration or anything. And then putting, Webb Simpson led, and I think a lot of that was really accomplished on Sunday. But it was good to see Webb get the putter back going. And then last but not least, Hideki from tee to green, as we mentioned, led the field, but just couldn't make a putt. Typical Hideki. Okay. I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to talk about on the Sony. Let's get into the course preview. All right, the American Express. We are going back to the lower 48, start the West Coast swing, and it's all in California. La Quinta, California to be exact. A little history on this tournament. It's been around quite a while. It was all the way back to the Bob Hope Desert Classic, and then the Career Builder, and then now it's the AMEX. So little changes there and there, but same courses. But what's different is typically if you watch the American Express, you will see the pros, 2 of the pros or 3 of the pros playing with, a celebrity or a sports, sports star or whatever. That's not happening this year due to the COVID restrictions. And so also what's typical at this course is they play 3 courses on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And that's the PGA West Stadium, Nicklaus, and then La Quinta. The La Quinta has been removed, and they will be playing the stadium course of 3 rounds and only playing the Nicklaus once, and that takes place on Thursday or Friday. So my focus will be all on the stadium course, and really between the 2 courses, there's not much difference. They're very, very similar, so nothing to worry about there. Of course, Pete Dye designed this back in 1986. And past winners, what they did very well is, of course, hit fairways, greens, but ball striking is a key thing. So we're looking for guys. The best iron players is the guys who are going to succeed here. And of course, they got to convert on their birdie or better opportunities. It is a par 72, traditional par 72, 4 par 5s, 4 par 3s, and 10 par 4s. And the yard is just a little over 7,100 yards. You'll see it moved a little bit here or there, but it's a shorter track for PGA standards, and they are going to be playing on the same surfaces that they were just playing on over in Hawaii, Bermuda, to be specific, TIF Green 328, if that means anything to you, but it is Bermuda turf. These greens are a little smaller comparative to the PGA, so 5,000 square feet total. And then the defense of this course is it's got 90 bunkers. You have water that comes to play, 7 out of the 8 holes, or 7 to 8 holes to be exact. And of course, weather, depending on how that. And it's more of a thinking man's course than I would say it is the Bombers course. So that's where we're going to be looking. And then I think the last 2 years, it's been 2,600 has been the winner, but on average, somewhere between 20 to 26. So they are going to need to go low. The player field size that I see right now is 154, so a little bit more than at the Sony. And of course, the cut stays across. This is a pure AMEX FedEx event, and T65 in ties. And of course, it'll be this upcoming Thursday through Sunday. And a couple of little side notes. Of course, the Golf Channel will be covering it, but also it looks like PGA Live. So if you still have the PGA Live app through like Prime, looks like they're going to be showing Thursday, Friday. So you get to watch way more golf than we've been getting to see. I don't know about Saturday, Sunday. I didn't see that on there. And then also note to self, that's why I put this up here. There is a charity challenge. So after COVID, they were doing those, 4-man, best ball, scramble challenges. And I bring that up because there is some things that you can gather from that. So looks like Paul Casey, great iron player, could be a good fit here. Even though Paul's struggled a little bit since the PGA Championship. Tony Finau, another great iron player. And of course, Mickelson. And they'll probably have another guy in there. Usually it's 4 guys playing, so I don't know who the 4th is. But it's good to see. So you get to get a preview of the course, see how at least these 4 guys are hitting it. Again, can you hold a lot of weight? No, but I have watched a lot of these just to get an idea. And there was one, I believe it was at the Workday or the Memorial when they had those back-to-back at Jack's place. And the one pairing was Finau and Rahm, and they boat raced that course together. And they actually then had a really great, I believe it was Memorial, because that's when Rahm won, had a real great event there. So sometimes you can glean a little something, maybe even for Showdown. Just up here, some past winners. Of course, Andrew Landry won last year when it was actually the American Express. Before that, the Career Builder. You got Adam Long in 2019. You have Rahm. You got Swafford. And then the Duff Daddy won it back-to-back, the Career Builder Challenger at the stadium. Well, the multiple courses they played at that time. And he's a great iron player when he's hitting it. Not the best putter, but a great iron player. I think that's it on the preview. So let's go dive into a little more information on past conditions and course breakdown. Oh, I did want to bring up Chris Kirk. So that's why I had this open. Why did I miss him? Because it always bothers me. Oh, actually, I think I did this. I think we already went through this. Yes, we did. I apologize. Let's get rid of that. Let's get into the course. Okay, the stadium course. Nothing really stuck out here. Looks like the front 9 is easier than the back from a scoring perspective. So if you're playing Showdown, you might want to look at, there's, the narrative or the theory that, if you take guys that are teeing off the front side, they get hot. Hopefully they'll ride that on the backwards. Looks like, there's a few more, tougher holes. But yeah, I think we got 1, 2, about 6, holes where they typically struggle, and all the rest are gettable. And of course you got the 4 par 5s. So nothing there to really look out. This is what also pointed me. So, the approach is something that top 10 finishers have done very well here. It is a necessity, as it is on any course, but even, probably a little more premium here. Of course, putting is always something that they need to do. But around the green and off the tee is not as important that they gain, a ton of strokes. Again, this is looking at the past history of top 10 finishers. What did they do well to win or be in the top 10? Ball striking is something that we have to watch. A decent short game. Of course, you got to score on the par 5s, take advantage of them. And the par 3s, it looks like there was a differentiator because there are a couple long par 3s. 3-putt avoidance, shouldn't be a lot of that with smaller greens, so nothing really to concern there. Of course, greens and reg and sand saves, not a huge concern. But, fairways gained is something that they need to do. No shocker there. And then, of course, the whole composition where the bulk of the par fours are falling within 350 to 500. Got two par threes over 200 yards. And then the one that showed up the most from approach, where typically the guys are going to be approaching from, is 150 to 175. And of course, make your pars. Average cut last year was 5 under, 9 under on 2019, and then some 6 unders. And driving accuracy, they're not saying is as much, but if you look at the differences of an average tour event to here, it's very minimal. So, you got to hit fairways. You're going to want to hit fairways. You're going to want to be on the right side of the fairway to make your approach. So not too different than the Sony Open. Green and reg is pretty average. Maybe scramble a little bit more here than an average tour event if if you're not hitting the fairways. 3 putts not a problem. This just shows past scoring per round, and we want to just look the low 263s in the past, so not as low as the Sony. We had some 61s in the past, even 59s there. Average driving distance is not as big of a issue. And green and red is approximately the hole. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. I would say that, again, everything for me is focusing on guys that hit their irons very well. And then same with historic conditions. Nothing really stood out to me here. And again, this is showing the 3 different courses, but we look at the stadium course, and the one thing I looked at, when typically here during, and it's, being played around the same exact time as it always is, it's been pretty calm, so that shouldn't affect him. Scoring is easy relative to par. Firmness of the greens are medium. And there was only one area, I believe this was back in, so it's showing a breakdown of 2020. It looks like, maybe there was some firmness that happened here. And so hitting fairways, so they were hitting fairways and they were rolling off into the rough. So, that could be a problem. But again, the rough here is actually, everything I saw is short, so it shouldn't be any issues. So really nothing on, tournament conditions that really piques my interest. And then what I like to do, is anybody can do this, is just kind of go back and look at some, past, winners. And what it would do is start to tell you a story of guys that do well here. And so, like the answer is great iron player. And funny enough, I've been noticing picking winners or picking guys, it's like the next week they come in. So I was actually picking, I thought Abraham Ancer was a perfect fit to win at the Sony, and he didn't even make the cut, which was awesome. But I think he's pretty live. And it's funny enough, I think if we go back and trace, I think Abraham or Andrew Landry and Rahm ended up in a second, third, and then they end up winning. So, I'll go ahead and call it now. Ancer is probably going to be one of my top plays at this place. Adam Hadwin has done well here, and Bozelli will show up. I don't know if Bozelli's in the field. You know what? Let's just answer that question right now. Let's see, Bozelli. Nope, no Bozelli, so we don't have to worry about him, I guess. But as you can see here, Rahm, like the previous, is popping up there. And then bam, he won. But there's Landry, so that's, I mentioned, and then Hadwin. So this is his first tournament back for a while for the Canadian. And then Kokrak, I just want to bring him up since I see him. So funny enough, when you think of Jason Kokrak, or when I think of Jason Kokrak, I think of him, can bang the ball off the tee, bomb and gouge. But if you actually look at where his past history of success has been on courses like this, plotters, thinking courses. So if you even go back to Shadow Creek, where he won in Vegas, that course tends to, that you can't just, hit it and hope, right? I mean, you can't be spraying it or you're going to be in trouble. If you track his past histories, he actually has had more success on courses that demand thinking and not always just getting up and hitting the driver and banging it as far as you can. So just a little note. And he actually came out and was leading the tournament at the Sony, and then I don't know what happened. I think he actually shot 8 under the first day and then kind of fell apart. So just a note to self that, Kokrak might be someone we might want to take a look at. I know he is in the field. Then you got Swafford, who won at Corrales here recently. So someone will have to do a little more work. But there's Hadwin popping up again. Funny enough, again, Bozelli showing up. Steele, that's interesting. He just had a good week. Again, fell apart. Didn't really talk about him for the Sony, but of course, we know he lost the tournament the previous year on the 18th hole to Cam Smith, and then again just kind of struggled after he made the eagle and then got in the back nine. I don't know what is that back nine in him. Kind of fell apart and had some bogeys and just couldn't get it done. So again, Kevin Na, one thing about it, if he is in the hunt, he can close. And here's Duff Daddy I was talking about, Phil Mickelson. Hey, there's Kevin Na, Hadwin again. So yeah, I'm just kind of going, I'm sure a lot of you guys probably already do this, but I always just quickly like to go look at past results, see what names are popping up. There's my Siwoo Kim. And just kind of see, it will tell a story of who fits well there. And then I created already a preliminary custom stat model for this. So everything we already talked about with the heavy weighting on approach, ball striking, the par fours that we talked about, and they got to do par five scoring, some proximity. And I just wanted to see how it would kind of come out. And no shocker, Russ Henley, one of the better iron players on tour, fared out to be number one. You got Zach Johnson popping back in. Of course, Rahm Burns, one of the better ball strikers on tour. You got Doc Redman. This is his first tournament in a while. You got Wolf, who was doing really good at approach. But as you can see here, he kind of just fell apart towards the end of the year. You got Tringali, who almost won towards the end of the year. Of course, Reed's a great iron player. Badley, funny enough, is a great approach player. Just cannot putt to save his life. And then, Finau right now. And this is looking at the past 36 rounds for these guys, just so you know. And if we just click on approach to see who kind of shows up, again, the guys that Cameron Percy might be interesting look to see where he'll be priced. He might be, I would guess, on a sleeper side. Trying to think of anybody else sticks out. No, that's probably good. So that's just a quick look at the field. I'm just scrolling down to look at anybody else that we might want to see that is in here. Henrik Norlander pops up. This is all the betting odds that are out right now. All right, that is it. This was a no filters or nothing. I'm not looking at past course history or comp courses. This is just looking at their last 36 rounds of golf and then throw it in here just to see who kind of is showing up on top. I think that's enough. I appreciate you greatly for spending a few minutes with me to go over the AMEX preview, the Sony Open. If you're new to this channel, please like it. If you like what you're seeing, if you don't, please let me know that too. But share it with anybody else you think might get some value out of this. If you're not a subscriber, it would mean the world if you'd subscribe. We did just get over 100 subscribers. I've only been doing this about 4 months from a perspective of, kind of giving you my analysis and breakdown. And so, if I keep seeing the uptricks and people are getting value from this, I'll keep doing it because I'm doing the work anyways. And I just kind of figure, hey, I might as well share it with you guys and hope it helps you on your betting or in your GPPs or head-to-heads or showdowns or whatever. If you have any questions regarding any of that during or before the tournaments, hit me up at Twitter. I do check it. Or you can also leave comments or ask me questions through YouTube. I check that too frequently. So yeah, and that's it. I kind of got my new tagline for the end here. It's been in my mind for a while to put, but I always think this is a great quote from Fast Eddie Felston, of course, from Color of Money. Money won is twice as sweet as money earned. And that's all probably why we all do this, So all the best of luck this weekend. I hope you did have a good Sony Open. I actually did well in showdowns, real well, but my GPP lineups, which I'm not doing a ton of GPP, didn't fare out so well. So hopefully I'll do a little better this upcoming weekend. All the best. Take care.